Hey, what's going on, guys? Realm Gaming here, back in another video. Today's episode, I wanted to quickly talk about Restoration Druid, AOE healing. At the moment, Restoration Druid does not have a ton of cooldowns to be able to effectively AOE heal. We, of course, do have our Convoke the Spirits, but when that is on cooldown, it's kind of like, well, what do you do? So AOE healing is something you kind of need to do in a somewhat specific way to be able to get the maximum value out of your AOE healing, because we don't have a ton of tools to rely on to get us out of a pinch. So the first spell I want to talk about here is Cenarius Might. So casting Swiftmend increases our haste by 10% for 6 seconds. So this is very important to us, right? Because haste is going to be our main secondary stat that we want to focus on, and 10% more haste is just going to really beef up our overall healing. Now, the one thing that you want to pay attention to, I guess, is it only lasts for 6 seconds. So we have a very short window to utilize this. So what I like to personally do is I like to use that haste on my AOE healing, since we do have pretty good like single target spot healing. You can throw a life bloom and you kind of spam regrowths in there. Your Grove Guardians do quite a bit of spot healing for you. So where we really struggle is that AOE healing. So another spell or another talent that I want to bring your attention to is Soul of the Forest. So Swiftmend increases the healing of your next regrowth or rejuvenation by 150%, or your next wild growth by 50%. So wild growth is going to be kind of our main AOE healing spell. And what we can do is we can use this Swiftmend and Soul of the Forest proc to beef that up by an additional 50%. So as you can see, right, Swiftmend is granting us Soul of the Forest. Swiftmend is also granting us Cenarius Might. So these two paired together is very strong when followed up by a wild growth. So just to show you a quick example, what I can do is I can regrowth myself, and I can use a Swiftmend, right, to consume that regrowth, and I can immediately put that into a wild growth. And what that did is that wild growth is now benefiting from that Cenarius Might, and that wild growth also benefited from this Soul of the Forest. Now, another way that you can kind of beef that up a little bit more is going to be through our photosynthesis talent. So while your life bloom is on yourself, your periodic heals heal 10% faster. So basically what that means is while you have life bloom on yourself, your hot effects are going to happen 10% faster. And this just means increased AOE healing while life bloom is on yourself. So make sure that you always have a life bloom on yourself. Go into a regrowth, Swiftmend, and then into a wild growth to get all those stat buffs. Everything's kind of being funneled into your wild growth there. Now, we do have a little bit more to the story, right? We do also have our verdancy. So when life bloom blooms, up to 3 targets in your efflorescence are healed for X amount. So basically what we're going to be doing is we always want to be within our efflorescence on the ground. We want to have life bloom on ourselves. And then if we just follow the combo again, regrowth into a Swiftmend, into a wild growth, that's where a whole bunch of your AOE healing is going to come from. Okay, so just kind of a quick checklist here, just kind of what we talked about. So we want to ensure that we are doing that sort of Swiftmend combo. So we're going to make sure that we are Swiftmending into Swiftmend into a wild growth, so that this can benefit from Cenarius Might and Soul of the Forest. And again, we only have that 6-second window. So you want to do this quickly so that we can get as much value from that 10% haste as we possibly can. And then we also want to make sure that we are putting our life bloom on targets that are in our efflorescence, because we want that bloom effect from verdancy. And then, yeah, one other thing that I did forget is life bloom yourself, because we want that 10% increased healing while life bloom is on ourselves through photosynthesis. So 10% increased healing while photosynthesis, or through photosynthesis. So yeah, that should pretty much cover everything in terms of just like the general AOE healing rotation for Restoration Druid. And I guess you should actually change this. It's not necessarily increased healing. It's just faster healing through photosynthesis, so that we can kind of survive those heavy burst windows. Then I guess one other small tip here for AOE healing is if you are taking Nature Swiftness, you can Nature Swiftness So Nature Swiftness into a Convoke the Spirits. So what this will do is all of the regrowths within your Convoke the Spirits will then be buffed by 100% through Nature Swiftness, right? Because if we read the end of this, and heals for an additional 100%. So every single regrowth that's cast within your Convoke gets that 100% buff. And what's even better is at the end of your Convoke, it doesn't actually even consume your Nature Swiftness at all. So you can still use it and follow that up with a improved regrowth. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much going to be it for this video. Just make sure that you're pairing your Swiftman with Wild Growth. Make sure that you're getting all the benefits that you can just kind of funneled into your Wild Growth. Then make sure you're keeping Life Bloom on yourself, and also keep Life Bloom on targets that are within your Efflorescence to get some AoE healing through Verdancy. And of course, final thing here that we just talked about is the Nature Swiftness and Convoke the Spirits combo. All right, let's just take a very quick look at this, how this should sort of look. Let's just say that this is your tank here. How do you want to kind of manage Life Bloom between you and the tank? Where should you be standing? Where should your Efflorescence be? All that good stuff, right? So typically, right, you're going to be keeping Life Bloom on yourself, and then you're also going to be keeping Life Bloom on the tank. From there, you'll drop Efflorescence, and you kind of want to hug a circle around the tank so that you are both within your Efflorescence. You can make sure that your Life Bloom targets, again, are always within your Efflorescence circle here. And then from there, we just kind of do the combo. So you want to cast Regrowth on yourself or any hot, really, but I typically use just Regrowth into a Nature Swiftness, then into your Wild Growth. Now, another reason that's very important to always be within your Efflorescence is due to Spring Blossoms. So each target healed by Efflorescence is healed for an additional 12,000 over 6 seconds. So the healing through Spring Blossoms isn't necessarily great. The reason we take it is due to our Mastery. So we have a Mastery here. Let me find it. I think it's down here in the back somewhere. Yeah, Mastery Harmony. Your healing is increased by 8%, really 9%, for each of your Restoration Heal Over Time effects on the target. So when we do drop Efflorescence down, we will get Spring Blossoms on ourselves. Now we basically have 10% increased healing on anybody that's standing in our Efflorescence. So that's really important, right? Because now everything we just talked about has now been beefed up by an additional 10% through our Mastery Harmony and Spring Blossoms. And really, it's even more than that, because this isn't even accounting for the Spring Blossoms Heal Over Time effect. I'd say it's probably more like, what do we say, like 9%, 8.9%, something like that. But again, another hot just means more healing. So yeah, quick shout out to my patrons. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. If you guys enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing. We'll see you on the next one.